trying not to hit all the things.
But probably going to hit all the things.
I'm probably going to hit
just
all of things.
all of them.
In fact, let's just go ahead and kill Hector.
Yeah, there you go.
Because everyone's still over there.
That's what we did. We killed Hector.
Hector is now no longer with us. Hector is no more.
Poor dude. He had such a nice life.
I get dibs on his house. Fucking taking over that sumbitch. That's a slight problem.
It was actually a fairly fun news week. I actually had to like sit down for a bit and think about like which ones I wanted to pick to put in here.
There's only one small problem with us getting closer together to the middle. It's too far away. I have to move the microphone closer. Oh, wrong way.
This is what happens when Hector's not here. He just like screws the whole process up. Just makes it more difficult. Makes us have to move things around.
Fucking.
Are you okay?
It's very hard to balance this and get it to fucking stay in place. There we go.
All right. How exciting.
Now, it will go to where my face is.
Where it's supposed to go.
Yep. All right. There we go. Put the big black thing in my face.
All right.
Get my shirt together.
All the pre-show preparation.
It's important. You can't have the zipper all the way up because then you look weird.
Yeah.
You gotta have to have it a little bit further down.
Yeah, just to, like show off a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it just actually just presents better.
Yeah.
It's like the button on the jacket.
Right.
It's how do you wear a hoodie and not make it look?
Yeah.
Like
Have you gone to classes to learn like the most effective way to wear your hoodie?
School? Yeah.
Bro school.
Yeah. I've I had my my bro seniora.
Is that just like a bunch of natty light and then like people slapping each other on the ass saying good game?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I figured.
So much gay sex.
Hey man, whatever makes them happy, then do it.
So much. All right, we are live on that because I can see it.
Awesome.
Chat.
We're good to go. Awesome.
Oh, look, I made the chat come over here. I can almost see things.
How exciting. Look at us getting a show done almost on time. It's very impressive.
Don't save. I can't read those words. I'm just hoping my knowledge of Windows reminds me of which one is the correct button. All right, let's go ahead and give it a test.
Yep.
Recording audio test. Take one.
All right, this is my audio test. 1, 2, 3. Hey, adventurers, welcome to the show.
You are loud. Not in there, just like in my headset.
Okay.
I think I turned that up last week because I couldn't
probably
quite hear y'all. So there we go. There we go. Now we're quieter. Close that. Yeah, trying to find that little tiny fucking X is a pain in the ass. I'm expecting to click the whole thing.
Yeah.
Weird. All right, so there's actually something I could do to make this easier.
What's that?
Lower the fucking resolution of the monitors to where it makes things fucking bigger.
I feel like we're gonna need a third monitor just to see things very big.
To have it like right here.
Yeah.
One of the things I would like to make, because they don't really, they have them.
Yeah.
Is basically a teleprompter. You take one of these and a see-through mirror. It's mirror-like, so you can set it in front of the camera. So the camera's here.
Okay.
And then you put it in front of it like this, and you have the screen reading backwards right here, and it will reflect on there, and then you can see it.
That's fine.
But through, you can't see anything that's right there.
Right.
It's a teleprompter. That's how those work. I just explained how a fucking teleprompter works.
I'm glad I've been educated now.
Yeah, because I hate the wobbly table, mostly because I want the camera to be 4 inches lower.
Right.
It would just make for a slightly better shot.
Yeah.
Okay. And the table is in the way of where I want the camera to be.
All right. Let's do the thing.
All right, we are live on there.
Yep.
Chat is over here. I don't see any errors down here. That's good. All right. Let's go ahead and press record.
How do we bring the Fantastic Four and the X-Men into the MCU? Adventurers, gear up for an all-new episode.
Second account would work. I was thinking of whenever you log into Windows, you can have it set to your personal settings.
Yeah.
And making literally this is the live show like account, and you go into that one, and it makes everything bigger and shit.
Right. That's not a bad idea, actually.
I'm not just for looks. I'm fucking smart.
Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the show. We are the Surly Nerd, your one-stop shop for geek news that might have flown under your radar over the last week. I'm your host, James, and with me is our producer, Tony.
Whiskey. We didn't go to the store and grab beer before the show, which is normally a thing we do.
Yeah.
We were just a little pressed on time, so today I'm drinking whiskey.
Good for you. This is going to be a fun show then.
Yay!
All right, and Hector's out this week. He's spending time with family, which means he's dead to us. So...
God damn, that was a good one.
If you're new to the show, hey, welcome. This week we're going to be talking about how to bring the Fantastic Four and the X-Men into the modern Marvel Cinematic Universe. But before that, we have all the nerdy news that's fit to rant about for your ears. With all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, adventurers of all ages, it's time for The Prelude.
You didn't do the follow social media thing.
Fuck, I didn't. Because I accidentally deleted it. That's why.
Weird. You actually still read it all. I thought you just you just put it in there out of just habit, and you just remembered to do it.
Well, no, I don't always read it all, but if I don't,
If you don't see it, you don't.
Right. So if I actually put a prompt for myself and say prompt social media, I would remember to say it, but I didn't have prompt social media in there.
I mean, it's fine. We don't need to retake it.
That's fine.
I mean, I do need to find. I actually don't know if I need to mute the tracks. I'm just so used to doing it.
Right.
Because I have it.
It's just habit at this point.
I just need to not click the whole thing, which I may have just done. Basically, if we get a minute into this and it fucks up, we know we know what happened.
Right.
Let's try this out.
You can always never mind. Let's go.
We'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
We're doing it live.
Prelude.
All right, this is a prelude. This is what we've been doing with ourselves this week, what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what's been occupying our free time. Man, what a week. Tony, what have you been doing?
I helped the Destiny community to unlock a new weapon in a quest that not too many people are happy with the weapon that we got as the reward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you follow us on Twitter at The Surly Nerd, you would have seen something that I put up rant-wise today, actually, about Destiny.
Okay, I didn't read this.
Yes.
And inform us and our listeners.
So what
should be following us on Twitter, at the Surly Nerd.
What I said on there was basically, it was about the idea that video game communities turning on developers very quickly. And the reason for this is that when I went to PAX this weekend, one of the things that I did, I was basically kind of on social media blackout. It wasn't intentional. I was just really fucking busy.
Yeah, no, everybody I know that went to PAX this weekend wouldn't answer my messages because they were at PAX.
They were at PAX.
And I just wanted them... I needed to share information with people.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to fucking answer.
So when I was getting ready to leave for PAX on Thursday, I'm checking social media, and I've got all these people in my life, you and just people on the internet that we interact with for the show that are very excited talking about all things Destiny. And it was all about how, oh my God, there's this complex puzzle that's going on in Destiny. It's going to take forever for us to figure it out. And this is the best thing that Bungie's ever done. I can't wait to see what the secret is. And I'm super excited. Bungie's my favorite company ever.
Yeah, no, it was the hype around it. Because again, I spent pretty much the whole week at least paying attention to the chats that were going on inside the Raid Secrets group.
Yeah.
Or helping out a little bit with my own stuff. And I was enjoying it. And you had to you could see when people would come in and they would get pissed off. And we all kind of be like, just chill the fuck out. It's still going on. It's going to take a while. Because a lot of people were pissed off because, one, it was it's taking too long. And then other people were pissed off because, the streamers aren't helping anybody, which they kind of weren't.
Right.
They're kind of gatekeeping a bunch of shit. Then the people are like, we have to brute force it. And then the rest of us explaining math. Because you can't brute force something that has this many options.
Right.
You just can't fucking do it. It's mathematically impossible. So it's this was days of this going on, and you could see some people just getting more and more butthurt and getting angrier about this, and everybody the longer it went on, the more grandiose people thought the reward was going to be because it took us quite a while to do this.
3 days.
In total 7 from the initial start.
Okay. So
in total from the very first. Oh my God, there's a quest.
Right.
To finishing it was actually 6 days. But
okay.
Either way.
So I'm on social media blackout for PAX. I come back. I'm checking Twitter today, while having lunch. I'm sitting in Jack in the Box, having lunch, and I'm just reading through Twitter, and the tone of the Destiny community shifted so drastically over the course of 3 days. You'd think that Bungie literally walked up to each player's dog and shot it in the face in front of them. They were just they were like, fuck Bungie, fuck their distant cousins. I hope that, their family all died in the Black Plague in the 1800s. Like, it was just like, what the fuck? Like, you guys were so happy 3 days ago. Like,
yeah, no, like everybody was really excited because it was we didn't know what it was. And if you looked at the timetable of what the next content that's coming up, the next thing on the list was a gun called Bastion. It's an exotic quest, Bastion. And we're like, cool. So in about a week and a half, we will have this exotic quest on top of this other thing. So we're like, this is fucking awesome. We get this one thing we didn't know what it was,
right? And
then we get to do another quest later on, and then it turns out that there is no quest later on. We just got the reward a week and a half early. Which we're still confused about why it was on the... Why'd you even put that on? Did you expect it to take 2 weeks for us to win the thing? To defeat this?
They probably did.
No, that's not the way people who are addicted to things work. You want that... People literally stayed up for like 3 days straight. Non-stop doing this
Yeah,
shit.
that seems excessive.
It was.
Yeah.
And it was very bad. And...
So basically they did a thing, long story, TLDR.
Yeah.
Bungie made a thing to bring the community together, and it worked. And then when it didn't work,
bit them in the ass.
And then when it didn't work out, everybody got out the pitchforks. So
Yeah.
that's nerd fans for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's you give me something that I want. It's not the exact thing. Fuck you.
I feel bad for the Bungie developers. So I'm like, that's a really cool thing that you guys did.
Yeah.
And to just be shit on afterwards for like how you brought the
they
community
made a
together.
complicated ass puzzle that required thousands and thousands of people to work together to make a thing happen.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. We haven't had a community event like that in a while where it was actually solving a puzzle outside of the game.
Right.
Solving the puzzles inside the game is different.
Right.
And it was fun and entertaining. And I remember everybody coming in, you're like, I'm pretty sure the word's Bastion. And even me, I remember typing out, no, it's not. That's on the list for later.
Right.
And then today I wake up because I tried staying awake. It was like 11:30, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. Apparently, like at 3 a.m. our time, they defeated it, and I look at that and just nothing but salt and people screaming in the chat. And I was like, motherfucker!
So
why did they have to prove that we're pieces of shit? Like we were doing fine, we were great, and then it's like. Now the community is just a pile of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't get that. We were having such a good time, yet there were people being assholes and whatnot. But either way, everybody...
You guys were a community for like 3 whole days.
Yeah, we came together. We did a thing. We were all, for the most part, happy. Like 98% happy.
Yeah.
And then now it's 98% salty as a motherfucker.
You did other things this week other than play Destiny.
Oh, yeah. I have been watching The Expanse.
Yes, let's talk about the fact that
we just spent a good 10
Expanse.
minutes talking about Destiny that I didn't even want to go into.
I know. I understand. But it was a valid
I
thing
hope
to
we
bring.
explained that well enough for the audience as well.
So you started The Expanse. Obviously, this is one of mine and Hector's favorite shows. I was worried that you were going to go into it because Hector and I have talked it up so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those.
It's kind of like whenever you started watching Letterkenny, and that was a show that me and Hector have
shut
the fuck up about.
And that's something that I did this week. I started watching Letterkenny.
So we both watched shows that were suggested to us.
Right. And it was one of those moments of like, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm just going to do it in my own bubble. In fact, I didn't even think you guys were going to find out that I was going to be watching it.
The only reason I found out was because you played it while you were packing to leave, and I walked over and said, "Are you watching Letterkenny, or did you get on the wrong account?"
Right.
It's like you're watching Letterkenny.
Yeah. So you've started The Expanse. Obviously, Hector and I have been hyping this up. It's this beautiful fucking sci-fi show.
Series. Where did it originally air? I don't know because it's not. I mean, it's now on Amazon.
It was originally the Sci-Fi Channel. And
okay,
got
so it's a
canceled.
Sci-Fi Channel original show.
Yeah.
Sci-Fi in their infinite wisdoms cancels everything.
Right.
No matter how good it is.
Yeah.
So they canceled it, and Amazon, there was like a Save the Expanse thing. Yep. I remember this being in pop culture.
Yep.
And Amazon bought it and has now released 2 seasons.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so the first 2 seasons were on Sci-Fi.
There's none of the, actually, I think this is the first season on Sci-Fi. Or, sorry, the first season on Amazon.
Okay, so they had 3 seasons on Sci-Fi, and now 1 season on Amazon. I'm not that far yet.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with the 2nd season.
Okay.
I fell asleep watching it last night, so it probably says it's done.
Right.
Now twice I've finished the 2nd season because I just fell asleep while it was playing.
Yeah.
Overall, I really enjoy it. It reminds me a lot of Battlestar Galactica, the remake that was in the early 2000s. Mostly because of the grittiness, the fact that it's more based on, let's just say, reality.
Right.
This is actually even more so based on what reality would be.
Yeah, they use a lot of real hard science in it.
Yeah, and that's something I really enjoyed. The urgency, I guess, is what reminds me of Battlestar Galactica, because it's kind of we're all gonna fucking die at any moment. You get that all the time from Battlestar.
Yeah.
There's literally an episode where they're gonna die like every 30 minutes.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
But the ending was so bad.
It was so bad.
Overall, I think the acting is brilliant. The storytelling's great. Aliens, I'm still confused as fuck on that.
That takes a long time to explain.
I'm hoping that it does. I was expecting it to move on past some of the characters and some of the story points faster.
Right.
And it's really lingering on some of these plot lines I thought would have been killed off like in the first season.
Yeah, it makes some very interesting changes, and I don't want to be that like book versus the movie kind of kind of guy.
Yeah.
But the books do focus in different areas, and that's because the writers who actually write, so the writers of The Expanse are two people who work on this jointly, and they also help write the Expanse TV show.
Okay.
So what they do is they go in. They're not the only writers for the Expanse TV show, but they are heavy contributors to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way television show writing works is you have two people that are generally the person listed as written the scripts, and you have a team of 7 or 8 people that actually wrote the script, that all gave ideas,
right.
But one main person.
Right, so in this case, 2 people write the Expanse books, and then they help out in the writer's room with everything else.
Okay, I thought it was just one person wrote the books.
Nope. James S.A. Corey is 2 people, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that. I thought that's the reason why I just thought it was one dude.
Nope.
It says, like, based on the books by...
Yeah, and so it's honestly the books are fantastic. But when it comes to talking about The Expanse, and you translate it from the book to the TV show, one of the things they wanted to do is they wanted to introduce certain characters early, which is why it feels so like there's so many characters in the first season, because
it was a little hard to follow.
Yeah, they back end a lot of the characters. Like Avasarala isn't in the first book.
I'm really bad at names. Is that the Belter guy?
No, that's your Destiny lady.
Oh, that's Lakshmi. Yeah. Yes. If you said Lakshmi, I would actually know who you were talking about, which is not a name that you should ever recognize.
Yeah. But you're a couple seasons in. Yes, there's a lot of characters, but do you find yourself still wanting to watch more?
Yeah. I'm very interested in just finishing it. It's unfortunate for me. I was watching some of the episodes while I was reading the Destiny chat and trying to like help people out doing things. Right. So I missed some elements and I had to go back a little bit. Like one of the things I thought was really cool, they did in the second season, they said like 137 years in the past.
Yes.
And it was the first person to make a ship go really fast.
Yes, the Epstein drive.
Yeah. I have no idea how that ended. I remember like his phone fell down and there was a dangly thing that he put up, obviously it was a little charm that looked like it was going to fall and like slam through his head.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything past that. Like, I'm like, was there more? Did I just look at my phone and not pay attention? Like, what the fuck happened? Is there more of this later? Like,
nope.
Because I know I was fucking off on my phone. Did I fuck up and miss a really cool story part?
He got the data sent out where it needed to be, but he is gone.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I did probably miss the end of it.
Yeah.
Because I remember he was trying to contact his wife. For people that are listening to this show right now and getting bored out of their fucking mind, watch The Expanse. It's a very enjoyable show. It's just a little hard to get into for the first 3 episodes.
Yeah. It throws a lot of information at you and asks you to pay attention. It really
does. And it doesn't stop doing that. That's whenever I said, hey, you're going to watch Letterkenny. And you're like, yeah, I just want something I can put on the background. I was like, you say that, but you kind of have to pay attention because they talk real fucking fast. Yeah.
We got to wrap up the prelude. But I did go to PAX this weekend. It was an absolute blast. I mean, what can I say about it? I was working the entire time, so I didn't get to see the show floor very much. But I was out there working with the Houston Outlaws. It was really cool to meet some of the new team members, meeting the new staff. It was an absolutely fantastic experience. Did a whole bunch of networking for both this podcast, for the Houston Outlaws podcast that we're going to be bringing back. We've got so much content right around the corner for you.
Because we have to start that like 2 weeks before it starts.
It is right around the corner, and
we got like 2 weeks before it starts.
Yep. So hang tight for that. It's going to be really awesome. There's a lot of really cool stuff around the corner for both podcasts. We're going to take a small break, and when we come back, we're going to be going into the news.
Yeah.
In the weekly raid.
Yeah. You remembered what it was called.
I know. It took me a second.
I'm normally the one that fucks that up. All right. We'll be right back. I just realized you typed a lot while we were closing up. I can't read what you're typing at this point. Like, I need a fucking...
Yeah, we don't. We obviously will chat with you if it's
Yeah.
related to the topic that we're talking about, so we can read your comments on air and talk about that stuff. Yeah, we've been good. We've been busy doing nerdy stuff. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that the prelude was a clusterfuck of all over the place.
it happens. We can bring it together.
Yeah. I just really hope people pay attention to the show after that.
Yeah.
Like, just we get a note in the episode title, and then maybe just skip the first 10 minutes.
Right. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, we rambled weirdly.
Yeah, it
in
happens.
there. Alrighty. Oh, I gotta go into titles, weekly raid, press the button for weekly raid. Wow, it does the thing, and now I've got all the topics.
Oh, it actually shows you what the topics are?
I made a thing that says it's just T1 and
okay,
T2.
got it.
I could put that in there each time, but I'm not going to do
Yeah,
that.
that seems excessive.
Because
I just didn't know if it auto-populated that.
no, it doesn't.
Okay.
But I know what topic 1 is.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, no, this is what that's one of the things whenever we talked about the Logitech thing, shut up internet. We talked about that. The other thing that we eventually will need is a much bigger one of these.
Yes, we will need a much bigger stream deck.
I get that I can go folders into folders, but I can only put 4 things on the screen because of the way folders work.
Well, this is what donating to the show gets you, is us
If you
having
donate
better
the show,
equipment.
if you don't like to donate however much the giant fucking stream deck is, the one with 30 buttons,
That's ridiculous. That's asking a lot.
it is asking a lot. But if they really loved me.
If they really loved you. Hey, Brooklyn, baby. Glad to see you in chat. We're about to get
it's
rolling on the news.
My love can totally be bought.
I know
I am
that.
straight up a fucking emotional hooker.
All right, let's do this.
The weekly raid.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. It's the Weekly Raid. It's our news roundup for the week. Our main topic this week in the podcast is going to be about how do we introduce the Fantastic Four and the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's very fitting that our first topic that we're going to be talking about today is the X-Men.
Yeah, they're actually finally back in the comic books now that Marvel bought 20th Century, which we can't call it Fox anymore.
That's true.
They for the film departments, they have dropped Fox from everything. So it's 20th Century and now Searchlight.
Yep, it is.
So which is fine. I mean,
It's fine.
The Fox company, for just quick backstory of history, the Fox company was its own independent filmmaking group, and then they merged with 21st Century, became 21st Century Fox, and then also Fox Searchlight. Searchlight was a separate thing. Fox bought them and became Fox Searchlight, and now they're just dropping the Fox name for very specific reasons.
This seems like the weird, Voltron of names.
That's the way corporate names work.
Yeah,
it's
true.
It's the coming and going of all these names. This amalgam. Basically, Disney's the only one's gonna be left. You got Disney, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google,
Tencent.
Tencent, which will end up buying all the other ones.
Right. Okay, so let's jump in talking about the X-Men. Let's talk about one of my favorite X-Men comics of all time, God Loves, Man Kills. This was written by Chris Claremont. It was in 1982. Right, this is one of the earliest graphic novels, trade paperbacks that was ever written. If you're not familiar with the story of God Loves, Man Kills, but you've seen the second X-Men movie, X2, X2 is loosely based on it.
It's a bit of it.
It hits the keynotes that is God Loves, Man Kills, which is mostly about the Senate, the government basically going against mutants, saying that they are that basically they should just kill them all off. They're advocating for genocide. The U.S. government is trying to advocate for genocide.
Well, I'm just saying, if they weren't genetically weird, we wouldn't have these problems.
Right. So God Loves, Man Kills, obviously one of the most famous X-Men stories of all time. Very beloved by me and people all over the world. When people say, give me your top X-Men stories, this one always comes
you got
up.
Magneto Testament.
Yeah, you get
which really isn't an X-Men story, but
right.
it counts.
You get the entire Phoenix saga. There's there's certain notes that are hit.
That should not be on the list. I'm sorry. X-Men fans.
I said comics, not
even
else.
nobody has actually read the Phoenix comics.
So Chris Claremont is going to be coming back to God Loves, Man Kills for a new edition of it. They're going to put out a new version of the graphic novel, but him and Brett Anderson that worked on the original title they're going to be essentially creating, it's not a sequel, but an extension of God Loves, Man Kills. And the new story, they're not going to alter the old story.
So this
old,
is like
old
this
story
is the kind of like we're continuing that we're going to talk about the similar subject matter, but this is way later down the line. X-Men have changed, they've evolved. They've like went from thousands of them to like 100 of them to like they didn't exist and now there's some of them again.
So maybe this next phrase will make a little bit more sense to you. So
okay, I'm just trying to get my placement of what's going on.
So God's Love, Man Kills will remain the story that it is. The next story that they're going to add to the new trade paperback, they are saying it's a new story that will have a modern day framing device for the classic story.
I feel like they're gonna get in trouble for this. Like, I guess my brain immediately goes like, okay, cool. So they are kind of modernizing that idea, that similar. Hey, these people have powers. Let's kill them. You know,
right.
Which is kind of like the plotline of the X-Men to begin with.
It is absolutely, but when you say the words like modern day framing device, I'm like, oh,
yeah, that hits a specific note. That which is one of the reasons why the name Fox was dropped from a lot of companies.
Like, it's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be great because Chris Claremont.
He's literally all right. So he did not create the X-Men, but he created the X-Men.
Yeah, if you think of the X-Men
if you watched any of the X-Men movies, literally any of them, that's Chris Claremont's work.
Yeah.
If you love the Phoenix Saga, that's his fucking work, which you shouldn't because it's awful.
So I'm excited for this, and I don't think that an up-and-coming writer could probably get away with this. Like, I hate to say it, like, as popular as they are right now, I don't know if, like, Zdarsky or Cates could get away with doing something that might be anti the current political establishment and putting it in an X-Men context.
I think that they could, but I think that the age of Chris Claremont and having already told a similar story during troubled times, he can help put a better light to the subject than maybe some of the younger writers could.
That's absolutely true. I mean, you're talking about the original version being, in the middle of this whole Reaganomics era, and there's a lot of that you can get it in the original comic.
Unhappy and politically charged times.
Yeah,
they're just a million times worse now.
Right. So I'm excited about this. It'll make me buy the book all over again. I don't care. It's a fantastic story. They don't have a date on when it's going to be coming out yet, but as soon as we know, we'll probably let you know. So let's talk about Image Comics for a hot second here, because one of the publishers out at Image Comics kind of did a 2019 in review and what to look forward to 2020, but not like in a buy these comics sense. They were actually talking about the industry as a whole instead of talking about like buy our comics.
I mean, the comics books industry over the last year, actually the last 10 years, thanks to mostly the Marvel movies, has just exploded between The Walking Dead on TV doing amazing things for Image Comics and just how great titles they're putting out. And with the Marvel movies getting more people to come in to buy DC Comics, weirdly.
That's true.
It's been a great time for comic book publishers. They've made a lot more money and without having to do stupid things like giant crossover events and making a lot of covers, variant covers. It still happens, but not to the point where we got to the bubble bursting.
Right.
Like the comics book industry has actually continuously grown in size and gained more revenue, but without making it a bubble type environment.
Yeah. So we have Eric Stevenson, one of the publishers over at Image Comics, and they did this big interview and talked about like the status of the industry and what they think about it. I'm going to read you a couple of his quotes, and we'll kind of dissect what he's got going on. Basically, the summary is that he believes that there's way too many books for comic stores to handle.
True.
He says comic stores can't keep up with ordering them. There's just too many to keep track of, and if it's a specialty market catering to a specific type of content, people get overwhelmed by the amount of books that are being published. And it's going to be an issue for all kinds of sales channels. Plus, it's going to trickle down to the readers, because at $4 and $5 an issue, that limits the number of comics that somebody can reasonably afford in a single month or every month. That being said, every publisher, and I want to be clear about and absolutely include Image in this, could do a better job at curating their content instead of constantly flooding the market with books that may not have an actual audience. He went on to say that in 2019, they did launch fewer books for Image Comics, like about a third less for Image. And they're planning on doing that into the next year because they saw positive results from thinning the line over the course of the year. He said that there were comics that he was given, the scripts for and everything that he absolutely adored when he read them, but went, this is an audience for me. I don't know if this is an audience for everybody else.
No, that is a big problem. I mean, think about, I kind of look at it as the Tumblrization of comics. It's you can find a niche anywhere, and somebody's gonna fill it, and you're gonna be able to Tumblr with other people in the comic books universe and have a grand old time. Unfortunately, there's probably like 10 of you, and you're not buying enough of them to make the publishing of this story worthwhile.
Yeah, that comic that I was picking up for a while, Faithless, like that was a very specific niche. Like, I love it, and I would recommend the fuck out of it.
There are so many comics
like,
that we do love.
Yeah.
Like, I can't pull up a list off my top of my head. I'd have to think about this. But
honestly, Bedlam from Image
Bedlam.
Comics.
That was when I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Bedlam
I was just
from
thinking
Comics.
of it as like, that is a comic that not most people should read.
Yeah.
And a lot of the smaller publishers that are way smaller than Image are meant to fill that niche audience.
Right.
But the bigger guys are trying to do that too. You think about DC with their Black Label, and they're like, well, let's get the adult audience. Like, well, you fucking had Vertigo. Why are you adding another label on top of this?
Right.
And they're like, well, Vertigo's just going to be for our older imprints that we're just reselling and not going to call it this. I'm like, fuck off, all right?
Right.
And I get the need to fill the gap where there's any hole in some type of storytelling need to reach that broader audience, to bring people in. But that's the point of webcomics.
For the record, by the way, 5,395 comic books were released in 2019. Not like
that's through
not printed. Individual titles. That many.
That's also not counting a lot of these super small independent publishers or people self-publishing their books. I mean, that number, I would say triple it if you think about people self-publishing and much smaller developed people, or like people that are just trying to sell them to like their local audience.
Yeah.
That's, I would say it would just double it.
Right.
Like
minimum double it.
Minimum double it.
Yeah.
And that's a fuckload. Yeah. All right. And that's a lot of trees that died. So I hope you at least recycled them instead of throwing them away.
Right.
I'm really pushing this recycling thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But all those statements make sense, and I'm glad that Image is a company that's not like attacking him for being like, yeah, we could be doing better too. They're actually like, yeah, you're right, we could be doing better.
Yeah, no, and I think that we've seen it happen before with even Marvel and DC having to cut back, and a lot of it comes to because they release so many of, let's say, a Spider-Man comic that the audience isn't buying all the ones that they're releasing because they're releasing so many of them. You have to cut back on that. Deadpool and Wolverine and Spider-Man, at least on the Marvel side, are the most notorious for having too many titles for not enough audience.
Right.
And pulling back, not doing giant crossovers, awesome. Releasing a fewer number of titles, maybe just better storytelling, better artwork, telling more personalized stories would help the industry more than just flooding it again to the Tumblrization of fill the hole, fill the niche because somebody's going to want this.
Right.
No, just try telling a couple good, unique stories, and people are going to gravitate towards those instead of the one that talks specifically to them that only they like.
Right. Absolutely agree. All right. We have a lot of things to talk about in terms of game delays this week because holy shit, did everything get delayed. So we'll start off with Final Fantasy VII, the remake, and Square Enix's Avengers both got delayed.
Yeah, that's interesting that Square's decided to...
I just want to say, Square Enix, if you're listening to this show right now, from my heart, are you okay? Is there something going on over there?
Something might be up because these are two games that are highly anticipated that they're delaying. Maybe they're delaying them because they are so highly anticipated, because basically this Marvel game, if they don't knock it out of the fucking park, if they don't beat Destiny,
it's DOA.
It's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, look at every game that's been listed as a Destiny killer and where it's at right now. Division has some people who play it.
They're saying
that's about it.
Right now, both the blanket statement on both these games is, we need more time for polish. We don't want to rush it to market. We need to make sure it's good. They gave us
these are things we're pro.
Yes, absolutely.
We're very pro. Take the time you need to make the product excellent. So whenever we get it, we're not going to bitch.
Yeah. And of course, the bigger news this week, if you follow us on Facebook, obviously I did post a little bit about this. Cyberpunk was delayed. So, this was the week of delays. And
I'm not sure why we're not rioting the streets and burning Poland down.
Right. Everybody has said, though, that, they're taking their time. This is all polished across the board. They're just like, we can't push this.
Yeah, they said the game is literally you can play the game right now.
Yeah.
But we want to make it a perfect game for you to play right now.
Right. And you know what? That's fine. Like, I don't think anybody's been that angry about any of these. Like, yes, Final Fantasy fans have been like, I really been wanting this game, but you know what? It's a few months delay.
I felt a little bit bad because I I was gonna sneak play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Because I hate Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
And I was like, all right, they're remaking it. Maybe they're making it in a way that I will enjoy.
Right. They're making a combat style that you enjoy.
Yeah, I like the modern combat system. Let's get rid of this turn-based, annoying, oh fuck, I've got to fight these 5 guys as I walk down a hallway. I hate that bullshit.
Right.
Let me just fucking move.
You
Go.
like the 15 combat system, which is what it's based on.
Yeah, I like that. That is I only need to fight whenever I want to.
Yeah.
And otherwise I can just go around. And that's cool. And I thought that maybe this would be a way to tell the story of Final Fantasy VII in a not so stupid way.
In a cohesive way.
Yeah, in a cohesive way that's not broken and telling a bunch of really bad jokes and telling me 2 different game environment stories in one game. And it was just, 7 is a fucking clusterfuck of good, but non-cohesive ideas.
Yeah.
And I get why people like it because it was their first introduction
For a lot of people, yeah.
into Japanese RPGs.
Yeah,
And I get that. You have those fond memories of it. Yeah. But like, go back and watch the Ninja Turtles movie. It's not actually that good. It's actually pretty fucking awful. That's Final Fantasy VII. It's really
it's
actually
Ninja
not
Turtles
that.
movie. It's a fantastic comparison. I want that on a T-shirt. Final Fantasy VII is the Ninja Turtles movie. Oh man. So I'm happy. Honestly, like I maybe it's just because we've been doing the show as long as we have and really have been spending a lot of time talking to industry insiders, but seeing things being delayed like this, I don't get upset about it anymore. Because you know what? I remember back in the day when we were younger and Blizzard was like, "Oh, I'm going to take some time to we're going to push Diablo 2 back 3 months." And we're like, "Okay. You know what? Diablo 2 is going to come out. It's going to be great." So
And then it wasn't.
Diablo 2 was fantastic.
I mean, it was, but like I'm thinking 3. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're thinking of 3,
I was
yeah.
thinking of 3. I was like,
No,
they
2 is
did delay-
amazing.
It's like they delayed 3.
Yeah.
And we are like, okay, cool, fine. And then 3 came out, and we are like, what the hell is this abomination?
Right, but that's the thing is that when 3 was said it was delayed, we were all fine with it because we were like, well, every other time in the history of Blizzard, whenever they delay, it always comes out fine in the end.
Yeah. And then
it didn't.
And then it didn't. And it was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I still enjoyed my time playing the story of Diablo 3. But like when it came to the end game of Diablo 3, the thing I had so much fun in 1 and 2. Okay, playing with Boba Fett's fucking
that trainer.
That was the best thing in the world. I wanted something kind of like that where I could play this high-end end game activity, but also kind of fuck with it sometimes if I wanted to.
Right.
And then I got nothing but this real money auction house that fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But with Cyberpunk being delayed, this is technically a small independent company making a very large AAA game.
That is very true. Yeah,
And
people don't realize that about CD Projekt Red. They just figure CD Projekt is like this huge company with like thousands of people, and it's like it's not though.
It's probably, I would guess, the same about size as Bungie, about 300 to 500 people.
Yeah,
maybe 600 to 700 depending on the time of year and what their crunch time environment is.
Right.
That's really not that many people. If you look at EA, which is tens of thousands of people
across multiple states.
Yes, across the globe.
Yeah.
And you got this one small group that's working on one game in this one small area. I get that it's going to take some time and whenever they said like the game's playable, but we want to polish it. We want to make it have this seamlessly great experience for you. And honestly, I think they're looking at the new hardware and they're trying to put it on that. Because think about what's going to...
For my money, CD Projekt Red can take as much time to polish their game as they want.
To polish their game? I like
game.
that. I like that you tried to sneak that by, but I had to point it out. No, because
this is why there's no humor on our show, because they just point it out the moment we try it.
That was too on the nose, James.
Too on the nose.
No, we got new graphics cards around the corner.
Yeah.
Which is going to be, a huge investment. We have new consoles, one of which has been announced and one of which is going to be announced in like a week or 3. But we know those are coming out.
I feel like your theory right now is that Cyberpunk was about to come out, but also they knew that like new video cards were coming out in September or coming out this summer. So they were like, well, our games should not be playable on a modern graphics card for at least 3 years. So we have to wait for the new ones to come out and then plan our technology around 3 years after that.
Basically, kind of, that's what I'm saying, is that they want to have a game that will look amazing on the newest graphics cards the day it comes out.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about it, because they've obviously gotten samples from NVIDIA to work on this shit. They've obviously gotten samples from the new PlayStation and the new Xbox that they're working on. I think that they're going to make this a cross-generational game, that it's going to initially launch in September on the old consoles and but the new graphics cards will be out at that point.
Right.
And then once the new consoles come out, they're like, buy it on there too, or transfer your game over or whatever. I think that's what they're adding a little bit more to that. Plus, they're just kind of, you know, getting the graphics perfect, and they're removing the little bugs that annoy us. As for Square Enix, I'm not sure.
Are you okay, Square Enix?
Because delaying both of those like on like 2 days apart, I think it was the announcement. Like, it wasn't the same time. They were like, we're delaying this game. They're like, oh, we're also delaying this one. It's kind of like
to be fair, Brooklyn in chat has a very good point, which is everybody's scared of Animal Crossing.
As they should. I know actually way too many people are excited.
I know
about
a lot of
Crossing.
people that are very excited about Animal Crossing. So.
See, originally I thought that maybe because Final Fantasy VII was coming out right around the same time as Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I figured that was the first one that got announced. It was like 7's being delayed. We're not like for like a month or so, and I was like, cool. They don't want to deal with Cyberpunk,
right?
And then Cyberpunk's we're being delayed to September, and I'm imagining right now everybody that was having a game that's being released in September is going, fuck me,
right?
Oh, god damn it. We were fine. We had our release date so far. People were going to be done playing it.
Right.
Now we've got to change our shit.
Well, I mean, like Bloodlines 2 was delayed till between, I believe, that September-December block. And I was like, that's fine. I've got Cyberpunk to hold me over. And the people in Bloodlines can work on their game and make it prettier and make it nicer. Fine. And now they're just like, well, I guess we're just all releasing on the same day at the end of September, aren't we?
and that's... Honestly, September and October are the time for releasing games. Right. That's whenever people release their big ass game titles, and it's kind of whenever, you know, big ass or not big ass movies, Oscar nominated movies kind of releases that kind of time frame. It's just kind of when people are like ready to just, I guess, winter up and sit down and play the fuck out of something or watch the fuck out of something.
That's true.
And it's just so much. Like, I'm kind of already tired. I'm already tired. It's fucking January, and I'm looking to the future of what movies and games we have coming out, and I was like, it's
then
too much.
What you should do if you're tired of movies and games is take some time to read comics. It's very important to read comics. Support your local comic book store.
You're adding more to my pile.
That's much more of a relaxing activity. In fact, if you want a really good comic to read, it was announced this week that the original screenplay of Alien is going to be coming to comic book form. This is not the movie that we saw in the theaters. There was an original script by Dan O'Bannon that was vastly different than what we got.
I'm interested in this now.
And this is being done by Dark Horse, the people who brought us the William Gibson Alien 3 book.
Well, they have the entire rights to Alien.
So they took William Gibson's Alien script that never got made.
Yeah, which I still need to go get the trade of.
And I only read the first 2 books, but it was so good.
Yeah, the reason why I'm just like, I just need to grab the trade. Yeah. I put it off because I kind of wanted to read it all at once, and then I forgot about it until you mentioned it again, which is going to be probably the same thing that happens with this. Except I'm not expecting it to be more than like 3 issues.
Yeah, that's what the Gibson wanted. It's basically 3 or 4 issues.
Yeah, like that's fine. Yeah. I'm cool. More Alien, more telling me more the origin of Alien.
I'm not familiar with the original script. I pride myself on my fucking lore of Alien in that universe before things that are Prometheus.
What James doesn't understand is the original version of Alien is just the entire script of Prometheus. It's just Prometheus.
No. If that happens, I will burn every single copy of that to the ground.
Sorry for the really quiet audio there, but like I had to get that in there. I was hoping he wasn't listening. No, I kind of hope that we actually get something that makes more sense. Maybe makes Prometheus make a little bit more sense. Maybe we get something where there's like the first 5 minutes, aliens fucking chasing people around this spaceship, and then a predator shows up and like rips its goddamn head off, and then a fucking Snorlax shows up and puts it to sleep, and then it's half Pokemon.
Well,
it could be anything. We don't know.
It could be, but apparently in the original script, the one thing that we do know is that the Nostromo ship, it was actually originally called the Snark.
The Snark.
The Snark. So maybe that was a better...
I kind of want to say that's dumb, but like it's dumb in a fun but dumb way.
Yeah.
And also because I really like the Legends of Tomorrow, and I'm thinking about Snart. And I'm like, yeah.
It all just connects in your head.
And as a slight spoiler, he is in the...
wow, thank you. Thank you for spoiling that for me. I appreciate it.
No, just his voice.
Oh, okay.
He's not in it, but he is in it, and I love kind of how they didn't even like bring attention. Like they bring attention to it like in like the first 3 minutes, and then just from then on, it's fine.
That's Legends of Tomorrow for you. All right, so man, what a strange week it's been in the news. So the Aquaman movie, people seem to have enjoyed that film.
Yes, because it tied in Annabelle and made the Conjuring series part of the DC Extended Universe.
So there's a lot of reason people like the Aquaman movie.
Mine is that.
And so what James Wan is going to be doing is for the upcoming new HBO media conglomerate, HBO Max, is he's going to be actually be doing a 3-part miniseries that's animated. And a bunch of the people from the Aquaman movie are going to be coming on and working on this, but it's animated.
Okay.
It's technically for kids, big air quotes, because it's James fucking Wan.
Yeah, he put Annabelle in his movie, like in a briefest cameo. So I'm expecting ghosts and people to be like ripped apart in this.
So it's supposed to be safe for kids, but the movie is called the miniseries is called Elder Evils from Beyond Time.
Cool. So we get to talk about the elder gods that live at the bottom of the ocean that Aquaman's supposed to stop.
Yeah, that's what it's sounding like he's going to be doing.
Remember when I said Annabelle and the Conjuring, the whole thing was part of the DC universe? This is just proving me right. I'm actually like dumbly excited for this. I like that. All right, so it's really cool that they got the people from the movie to come and work on it. And James Wan is doing a cartoon. So
It's a 3-part miniseries.
interesting. It's 3 parts, so that's really not that much.
Yeah.
Overall, cool, but HBO Max, like that's.
It's going to be a hard sell. I understand that.
I can't get really behind if they decide to say, hey, HBO Max is $1 more and you get it with HBO Now or whatever the fuck variant of it that we have, because there's like 3 versions of it.
Yeah,
except if they're selling as $1 more, and be like, cool, add it on.
Except for
Cool.
HBO Max is basically just like buying a cable package in TV form.
Yes, and I hate that. If they just like did it like if they did it the way Disney did Disney Plus, where you can add Hulu and ESPN for like $1 each,
Right.
And you go, here's your fucking package.
That's the future we wanted, really. We really wanted to just be able to pick and choose for a couple bucks a piece.
McDonald's fucking gave us the dollar menu, bitches. That's how we live now.
Right. That's how we want our streaming services
I
to
want
be.
my 2 tacos for $1. That's Jack in the Box's dollar menu, which is awesome.
But yeah, it's one of those things at HBO Max. We need to come back to HBO Max when we have a little bit more information about that, but it's going to come up a lot.
It's still a bit off. Like, technically, NBC's, what's that stupid bird that they have?
The Peacock?
That's actually the name of their online streaming service,
Right.
is Peacock, which is dumb. I think we talked about that once. We all just said it was dumb. Is finally now released. And I'm like, cool, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, nobody's going to give a shit.
Like, what is your one? Where's your Sabrina? Which, by the way, I also rewatched Sabrina this week because I can put that on in the background and not pay attention.
Here's the thing: is that HBO is really backing its play on this whole like being able to have access to the DC universe, because also it was announced this week, or they updated us this week about the Green Lantern TV show. We knew it was going to be coming, but we didn't know very much about it. So this is one of their original content shows. They're going to put
So we've had Swamp Thing, which unfortunately has to end because of stupid reasons. And then we also had what's the other one? I can't remember the name of. It's got Invisible guy who's bad. Doom Patrol. Yes, I literally couldn't remember Doom Patrol.
Yeah, all the stuff that's actually airing on the DC universe is going to be part of the HBO Max experience.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always thought was really cool. I was like, cool. So we're going to get rid of the DC.
There's no confirmation about that yet, but it's looking like they're taking the dog out to the barn.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And when they added that to the HBO thing, I was like, cool, again, add it for $1. It'd be fucking great. Yeah. And I'm super on board with that. The fact that all of these things are getting added on, and we're now getting more information about Green Lantern, which I cut you off earlier to explain this.
So if you don't remember us talking about it last time, Greg Bertinelli, who basically does everything DC related, if you watch any of the Arrowverse, that's all him. I mean, he works on a ton of this stuff. He's working on a lot of these projects because he's basically their go-to guy for doing a DC show on television.
I mean, they've knocked it out of the park with every one that they did. Even the one that they thought was going to fail, which was Legends of Tomorrow.
They managed to make it work.
People's kind of most favorite one.
It really has become. So we know very little about the Green Lantern TV show, but some of the stuff they leaked out about this week was they wanted to span several decades in terms of the story. They want to focus on the origin story of 2 major Green Lanterns on Earth, and that the Green Lantern villain, Sinestro, a Green Lantern at one point, will be a prime part of that. So people are tossing around a lot of theories.
I got an idea. I got a theory about that.
People are saying that Hal Jordan has to kind of be one of the 2 Green Lanterns because he has direct ties to Sinestro.
Yeah.
But everybody's kind of wondering what the other Earth Lantern is, because there was a lot of Green Lanterns that came from Earth.
There's thousands of Green Lanterns.
Right, but I mean, that came specifically from Earth. You have like
Yeah.
Kyle Rayner, you have Jessica. Is it Jessica? Yeah, Jessica Cruz, Simon Batts. There's
I didn't know who the fuck Simon Batts is at all. No clue.
There's a lot of Green Lanterns that come from Earth. Apparently, the Green Lantern just get bored and like grab people from Earth.
I don't get it. Like, it's supposed to be like this. The Green Lantern is supposed to go to this upright, super moral, great, apparently imagination person, and I just don't see that on Earth. Like, people are mostly shit here. Like, is there a shit lantern? Because I think we're good at that one.
I'm pretty sure that's one of them.
Is there a brown lantern?
Probably is the brown lantern. Yes.
Like, I remember they did the whole like the color spectrum of lanterns
Right.
at one
I don't
point.
think there was a brown.
I don't think there was a
lantern, but
brown lantern. And, like,
That's probably the Mad Comics variant of it. Is what you would have been seeing there. But this is cool. It sounds like what we're hearing out of HBO Max is they're wanting to put a lot of money into this project. And if you look at the production value of the entire Arrowverse, yes, they are not movie quality shows, but is a decent budget for a television show. I mean, hell, Legends of Tomorrow gets away with a lot with
very little budget.
With very little budget. And the trick here that Greg Bertinelli has to pull off is that the Green Lantern show, by its very nature, has to have a high production value.
Yeah, no, that's full of like CGI crazy brain inventions that are green and glowing,
Right.
which is not really easy to do with practical effects and or cheap effects. Like
Exactly.
I mean, making these
They're called constructs, by the way.
constructs. Okay, making a fucking a sledgehammer construct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can paint a sledgehammer green, but it looks like a green sledgehammer. Now you have to make it glow and do things, and that costs money and computers and more people. Like, you can't just paint everything green. We tried that. It was called the 70s.
Right.
And it just... that's the only thing I was worried about when they talk about doing a Green Lantern TV show. I was like, fuck, that's the one that's going to cost more money. You can do Superman, you can do Batman, but... You gotta sell me the imagination of this person who has these cosmic powers, who flies through space in a weird bubble thing that he makes for himself. I don't understand how that works because of gravity, but
You have to read a lot of Green Lantern to understand it.
I get you're supposed to the illusion of comics is supposed to be there.
Right.
But sometimes Smart Brain goes, that doesn't make any sense. But no, as for a show, cool. Everybody on board with it so far. I'm all for. It's just, how much money are you gonna give them?
You have to, right?
It's how much money are you gonna do this? Because
it would probably be cheaper to make another Green Lantern movie than it would be to make a Green Lantern TV show and make it look good.
Making a good Green Lantern movie, you could get everybody back from the first one and then just not do that horrible
just
story.
not do it the same way. Okay,
I'm excited for it, and it's more reasons why HBO Max, which Cinemax already has that. Like, why the fuck did they do that? It's such a bad title.
I know. Okay, so we have a couple more quick things to talk about that has maybe upset the gaming community a little bit. So Nintendo came out and they did their last big Smash Brothers like fighter season pass season 1 reveal. Right?
Okay.
So last character for the season pass for this set of characters.
Okay, wasn't that... I remember that, like the first one they showed up was like Persona guy.
Yeah, Joker.
Persona guy.
Yep. Then they had Banjo.
They don't have
They had
names.
Terry Bogard in there. They had the
Yeah.
Dragon Quest hero. These were like the fighters pass. When you paid for it, that's what you got.
Okay, and now they're doing...
And so they had one.
I saw some tweets.
Yeah, there's some angry people out there. So the last character, and man, being on Twitter the day before a Smash character reveal is the most fucking hilarious thing in the world, because everybody has a theory, and it's everything from like Dante from Devil May Cry to like Han Solo, and you're just like, it could be any of these things.
So the one character, like this is and this is an aside. The one character I think that should be added to Smash is the box that Snake hides in,
But not Snake.
but not Snake. No, just the box he hides in. And your power is to go, like, you just sit there, and if anybody gets near you, you put them in the box, and then now they can't do anything. Like, you basically absorb them, and that's it.
Okay, so
What would you add? Like, mine's a ridiculous.
In my
idea.
hypothetical situation, I only have one person I would add to Smash off the top of my head, and that's the Knight Solaire from Dark Souls, the Praise the Sun guy.
Oh, really? That's dark.
Yeah,
I don't think that they would. That's the one thing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't do that.
He would praise the sun, and then the sun would come down and destroy everybody. That's what he would do.
But then he did it too close to the box, and I'm sorry, he's in the box. Why isn't the box a character?
There's lots of characters that I would love to add to Smash, and honestly, like one day, if like we get Brooklyn back in the studio, I'd love to just theory craft like potential weird characters for Smash. I think that'd be an excellent idea.
At this point, I believe that every comic book character, every movie character, every other fighting game character will eventually be in every other fighting game.
I think it should be like, that's what Smash should be. It's why it's called the Smash Invitational. Like you get the little invitation, you show up to the tournament. I think that's what they should be doing. I mean, you got Ryu and Ken in Smash Brothers. Like
I was literally just thinking about that. I was like, you've already got them in they're from a completely different franchise. It has nothing to do with them, but they're in there.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for like Scorpion and Sub-Zero to be like,
any day now.
Up.
Any day now.
I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is going to be awesome.
It will be absolutely
I can't
awesome.
wait to imagine. I finally get to do like Ken versus like Scorpion.
That would be fantastic. Bring it, Smash
But
Brothers,
with like,
you know,
the worst fighting game. I'm sorry, I'm not a Smash person. I don't think it's a very good fighting game.
So now that we have Switches in the house, I do want to pick up a copy because for years, again, like I've said on this show so many times, I poo-pooed on Smash Brothers for a long time, being like, LOL, baby game for babies. And then I started watching Smash tournaments, and I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of technical challenge that goes into this. And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, maybe I want to pick this one up and like really give it a fair shot.
I'm not saying it's not super technical. I just think the fighting system is bad.
Right. So everybody had their theories about what they were going to be getting put into Smash Brothers, from Dante to like who the fuck ever. I mean, you name the character, they had a theory that character.
So this is like, so the other I did one pass. Is this like a second season pass thing?
So we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So who they ended up announcing was Beleth, who's the main character, the protagonist from Fire Emblem, the new Fire Emblem game, the one that I'm currently playing.
Yeah, that's a thing that's over there.
Right. So this caused a little bit of static in the Smash community because there's already like a bunch of Fire Emblem characters that are already in Smash Brothers.
Isn't Fire Emblem a Nintendo property?
It is a Nintendo property.
Well, there you fucking go. That's why they're in there.
Right. They were like, but like, do we need another Fire Emblem character? And he's cool.
Well, they're kind of like, well, we're out of adding Mario ones, so like, what else do you want us to add?
Right, but they were just hoping that the paid DLC characters, because they've all been so different. I mean, we're talking Persona 5's Joker, Dragon Quest Hero, Banjo-Kazooie, Fatal Fury's Terry Bogard. These were all non-Nintendo characters that were all added to the roster. So they were all expecting...
They were expecting something that wasn't Nintendo-based.
Exactly.
Character. Okay, so maybe like the ghost from Fatal Frame.
Right, sure. Like, it could be that.
They literally can't be added. That would make no sense.
But
it's about as dumb as idea as my box.
Right. So the fact that another Fire Emblem character was brought in caused a lot of static in the community. Angry tweets for days.
I can see why people would be upset about that, but at the same time, it's a Nintendo-owned property and a Nintendo-owned property. It's the rights issues are Nintendo fucking owns it.
Right.
Like, there is no rights issue at that point. It's not like bringing like Ken in. It's not like trying to bring Scorpion in. It's not like trying to bring Joker in. Other people own those.
Right.
Nintendo owns this. They're just going to put more Nintendo in it.
Right. So they at least made him have a unique combat style. He has multiple weapons, or she. You can play as the male or female version because in the game.
There you go. You actually got two characters, so that's two.
Multiple weapons. They're going to have obviously new stages. They're going to be based around the Fire Emblem 3 houses. They're going to be doing a lot of little stuff that comes in this update too. It isn't just that. They're adding some
quality of life stuff.
It's not just that. They're adding like a Cuphead costume for like the Mii Gunner character.
Cool.
They're adding other things that isn't just like the fighter, right? So there's like a 30-ish minute presentation they did about this and all the stuff they were going to be adding. But at the end of the day, people had a bad taste in their mouth. And they were like, So that Fighter's Pass, the people bought into, is $25 for, what was it, 5 characters? Joker,
Hero.
Yes,
$5 a character.
Yeah, $5 a character.
When you really look at it, if that's the only DLC that they're selling, and if you can buy them individually for $5, let's say you don't want this other one.
Yeah.
That's really not that bad.
Right. And each of those characters come with a stage and music and other things.
That's even more. It's not just getting a dude who fights a certain way, which some other fighting games have done that.
Right.
Where you
not saying any names here, Street Fighter.
Not where you just get one character and then you have to pay for even more stuff on top of that.
Yeah. But so they did announce that there was going to be a new Fighter's Pass. or new fighters pass.
Makes sense. It's time to add new ones.
So
you gotta spend more money.
Right, and it will go on sale the day that the Fire Emblem character drops. And there will be one difference though. It is going to cost $30 instead of $25.
Okay, so 6 characters.
Right. And it will include 6 characters. I didn't even tell you that.
Holy fuck, I can do math.
Right, I didn't even have to tell you that. You figured it out by the numbers. That's the reason for the
like,
price
wait,
hike.
they cost $5 each, and this one's $5 more. I think I know where this is going.
Right, and just buying the pass, the Fighter's Pass round 2, or whatever they're calling it, will actually, just by buying the pass alone, not the actual fighters or anything, get you a Mii Sword Fighter outfit, which is based around like the ancient soldier outfit from Breath of the Wild. So just as a thanks for buying the pass. Cool. Here's a skin to go with it,
okay.
You know, and then the rest of these skins and stages and characters that all come with the Fighter's Pass. So it's a pretty reasonable amount of content.
So that's kind of like their pre-order bonus, I guess.
Right, exactly. Well, it's just an order bonus. Like just when you buy it, you get it. And all the new characters are said to be released over the next year. So by December 31st, 2021, there will
2021,
I believe, like all the new characters.
That's actually quite a while.
It is quite a ways off
because we're in 2020,
right?
January. That is
we just
is straight up 24 months for them to release 6 characters.
We don't think it's going to take that long.
That is technically Blizzard level of character release.
Okay, well that's putting a little bit extreme, but no,
that's about how often Blizzard releases a character. I feel,
but to be fair on that end, they just don't have a timeline for it. They already have the characters. They know what the characters are.
Yeah.
But they've got to work on them. They got to make sure the balance is there. They got to do all the little technical things in the background.
Based on some of the tweets, we know like half of them already.
Right. So, and the last kind of final note to this is that Sakurai had to come out like over the last week and go, guys.
Sakurai's the head developer for Smash, right?
It was like, guys, please stop bombarding us with requests for what characters you want to see in Smash. We already have the characters picked. We're already working on the characters. You saying you want X person in isn't going to make us suddenly go, hey, let's put that person in the game right now.
This is something that, because the game I play the most is Destiny, so I pay attention to the like subreddit, and you see people going like, oh, this new expansion is about to come out. It better have this and this. And like, well, you should have asked for that 6 months ago when they were coming up with ideas for this season.
Right.
Because it's not going to fucking happen now. There's no way in the world you're going to get somebody to program that shit in the next 2 days.
Right.
Like, it's so funny that people that have, like I am adjacent to programming, meaning I know people who program stuff, right, and I have to deal with the fact that they program things. So just program adjacent. And I know... So I got a rough idea of what it takes to release something and how to test it and give it out to the public or even just private people that need to work on
You know the life cycle of software.
The life cycle of software, yeah. Well, if you are making a video game and you have somebody saying, hey, let's add this thing to it, and you're like, cool, we really needed that like probably 2 years ago when we could have implemented it, and now we just can't do that.
Yeah.
Like you can wish to the end of time, but you can't make fundamental changes.
Exactly.
It's too far gone now.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people understand that, especially when it comes to deals like with Smash Brothers. These, unless they are Nintendo-owned property, are big fucking money deals between...
You have to broker a deal with a company to do that.
Think about that. You have to think about like, okay, so let's go to whoever owns the rights to Jason Voorhees.
Right.
And we want to add Jason Voorhees to Smash Brothers, which is awesome, and that would be cool. You have to go to that person and be like, hey, we will give you this amount of money for each package sold to give us the rights to put this character in the game.
Right.
And they're like, no, we want more. And they're like, well, cool, we can't do that because there's a maximum that you can spend per character to give money to other people to make the product that you are trying to make money off of.
Right.
And that's not how this works. All these deals were done a long fucking time ago.
Exactly.
Because it's not an overnight thing. You can't just go, hey, you own Jason, I'll give you 25 cents per game sold.
Right.
That's not how this fucking works. Like, you can't just write a contract on a napkin. You gotta... Lawyers are involved in shit. Like, guys, chill the fuck out. You're gonna play the characters, and you're gonna have fun with them, and eventually you're going to hate half of them.
All right, that's everything we have for the news this week. We're gonna take a small break. When we come back, we'll be going into our main topic in the boss room.
That wasn't too all over the place.
No. That was
I do want another
focused.
drink.
Yes.
Since
you grab me another one.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You can grab a drink. So if you are in the chat right now, we would love to hear your ideas for what we're doing in the Boss Room, because we are going to be talking about how to bring the Fantastic Four and the X-Men into this Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this entire thing could just get really wacky really quick. Because, good Lord, we are trying to, really trying to figure out, wrap our heads around the Fantastic Four feels like the easier of the two, really. The X-Men themselves, though, poses a lot of complicated questions, because you talk about a group that should have existed prior to the Marvel movies being out, right? In the timeline of the MCU. And you're kind of looking at it going, how do you convince the audience? That's the difficult part, right? How do you convince the audience that these people have been around as long as they have, and then that no superheroes really acknowledged their existence whatsoever? It's a bit of a strange thing, and maybe there's an easy answer here. Maybe it's a Scarlet Witch thing. I don't know. That's part of the fun of this particular Boss Room, is us theory crafting what would happen, and it being just kind of silly and off the top of our heads. But man, it's going to be weird, and it's hard to think about how the X-Men finally make that trudge over to the MCU, because it has to happen. It absolutely has to happen at this point. They are, I mean, hands down, the X-Men's always been one of the most, if not the most popular Marvel property, in good times and bad, after all these years. But I know for me, it's the comic book that I always go back to, is the X-Men. Whenever I fall out of, reading comics for a while, you're right, Brooklyn. It's a difficult proposition. It's hard to think about how any of these things could be kind of tied into each other, given just the amount of lore and everything that's currently exists in the MCU.
I walked in and I heard difficult position, and I kind of want to make a joke about that statement, but my brain immediately went to well, I have a modest proposal for you, and that's mostly just want the characters to eat each other. Maybe we just kill off all of the X-Men. I'm just saying.
All right, I'm ready to do this.
People, if you remember, a modest proposal is about just basically killing the Irish.
It is a very modest proposal. Okay.
I gotta stir and make sure that
Yes, good idea. That's a good idea.
I'm now out of not Dr. Pepper.
Make it count. Brooklyn, you might chime in.
It's a little bit stronger.
You might get an idea as we start to talk about things. That's the whole fun of this particular one, is it's not supposed to be a serious episode. It's supposed to be very silly. So.
Oh yeah, no. Give us your most ridiculous time travel-y, put fucking Phoenix Saga into this shit's answers.
All right, let's do it.
Because honestly, it's about the only way you get these things to work.
X-Men versus Street Fighter crossover leads to the MCU. Done.
I need to go into. Did it transfer? I don't think it fucking worked. Let's move it. Where's the? Fine, I'll just fucking click you.
Oh, that's fine. The text is wrong, but that's cool.
I didn't update that one, so. Oh, look, I fixed it.
Good fix. Good fix. Good fix. I like it.
I forgot that was one of the things that I actually was I remember just doing it for the episode, the topics.
Yeah.
But not the main topic. I was
yeah.
I mean, I can copy and paste it real quick, but
you don't
it's
have
fine.
to. It's fine. It's fine.
It's not going down in the annals of Twitch history that we got a fucking topic
I didn't watch
wrong.
the Joker trailer. Immediately after the show, that's what I was going to be doing, is checking out that trailer. So
I thought about the movie The Joker, and
no,
I got way more. You still have yet to watch The Joker.
I'm going to watch The Joker.
You need to be in the right mindset to watch The Joker.
Right, probably high as shit.
I'm not saying that's a bad idea.
All right.
I'm already going that's a really good idea. In fact, that's a really good idea. Alrighty, let's. I haven't saved this show yet, but we should probably do that.
I don't know, the way that you're so excited. Yeah, 342. The way you're so excited for the Joker Mortal Kombat trailer means that apparently it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Which is a really strange standard to judge things by, I think.
Why are we still doing that?
Yeah, I feel like better things have come along since then.
It's like it's the best thing since Yahoo Answers.
Right.
That makes more sense. It's more relevant. I mean, it's definitely still dated.
It's better than Ask Jeeves. Web crawler. We're old.
No, these are things that we should be using as a reference point for it's better than, because sliced bread, we've moved on. Like, I think as a society, we've sliced bread for quite a while. We know how to do that.
Hey, Brooklyn, I didn't put it in the show, but apparently the new Guilty Gear game is going to be coming to the Japanese arcades, which means I guess you and I just need to go take a vacation together and just hang out in the arcade playing Guilty Gear all day.
Guilty Gear's coming to the arcades?
The new one is, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have a release date for consoles yet, but
okay.
Yeah.
It's just weird that games aren't console or not. They're not.
Did you just hit the button again?
No.
Okay.
I went up.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure we're still live, right? Yeah. In stream's not done. We're still getting chat. No, see, I went to I went up.
Okay. Got it.
See titles, and then I went up because I don't need to press any other.
You got a closed beta code because of your privilege. I hate you so much.
Must be nice to be white,
right? Must be nice to be white. Person that's absolutely named Cruz and white.
Ted Cruz is very white. I'm just saying.
Do not compare these two.
I'm just saying.
Please do not compare.
His father isn't from Cuba at all, and that's not a known fact. And his name isn't actually Ted.
He spit out his water. Yeah, that's what we're here for. You get all the good laughs off the air. All right,
These are things we can't put in the actual show. We're allowed to be slightly political in the in between sections, just not in the you can be political, but not on the whole.
Right.
Gotta be political, whole adjacent.
You have to be whole adjacent. That's our new slogan. The Surly Nerd. We're whole adjacent.
Oh fuck! I had a great idea for another podcast. It was something we talked about earlier. And it was awful. It was during the prelude, and it was an awful idea.
We should keep that one off the air then.
No, I can't remember what it was because it was not awful and it was so gross. It was such a bad idea. It was funny, but I couldn't find a way to bring it up, and now I can't remember what it is. Damn it! Anyways.
All right, let's knock this out.
All right. The weekly raid.
That's incorrect. You have to read that.
We're not doing the weekly raid. We're doing the boss room. That's what we're fucking doing. I literally just said boss room in my head. I was like, we're going to do the boss room. And then I said the wrong thing. It's like, why did those words come out of my mouth?
What's getting into us today? All right, take two.
And we only get one take wrong per 3 weeks. We're pretty good, actually. Minus the ones where we get it wrong 6 times in a row.
Right.
The Boss Room.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. This is The Boss Room. It is our main topic for the podcast, sometimes related to the news, sometimes not. So today, we want to talk about a complicated issue. It's news forward.
Yeah, we are psychically getting the news probably a year and a half before anybody else is.
So today, we want to talk about a complicated issue. Bringing some of Marvel's beloved comic book franchises and bringing them to the big screen. Now, we know over the next several years, both these franchises that we're going to be talking about are going to be coming out, and we want to talk about how they could be brought over into the MCU and what we'd like to see from them. So specifically, we are talking about the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Now,
the X-Men, the X-Men, the mutants.
The mutants themselves will be brought into the MCU. Now, I feel like before we get kind of started on this, one of these answers is much easier than the other.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four is way easier to add because they don't have movies that are currently about to come out.
Right.
So this entire conversation came out of the accidental statement that the new X-Men adjacent movie that is
the New Mutants,
is part of the MCU.
Right.
And that was actually within 6 hours reverse. You're like, oh, no, that was a misprint. Somebody just had the wrong information. That's not true.
Right.
And we were like, oh, fuck, that would have been awesome, but understandable.
Right.
So it's still a standalone this is the
MCU.
This is the Fox version of Mutants.
Still excited for it.
Yeah, we're still excited for it. I'm ridiculously looking forward to the fact we're getting a mutants horror movie. That's just... What world do we live in where that's the thing that got made?
Right.
And I'm like, and it's, everybody's starring it, and all the characters look amazing. I'm super on board. With that in mind, Fantastic Four is the easy one. The hard one is, again, the mutants, the X-Men, with one exception. Deadpool.
Right. So let's
Deadpool, I think we should talk about later on.
We should. Let's start at the beginning. Then. Let's knock the easy one out. Right? The Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel. How would you, Tony, if you were proposing to Marvel today, how would you bring the Fantastic Four into the MCU?
All right. So remember Age of Ultron in the movie that everybody fucking hated, and for reasons.
Right.
The whole fucking, they were in this country that wasn't really a country because, it's the Marvel and you have to make up fake countries. It's
Slovakia.
Yeah, Slovakia, which is not Czech or any of the other Slovakias. It was its own separate Slovakia, which is not how countries work. It fell down, or the main capital fell from the sky, and everybody got, they had the Slovakia Accords. That's not called Slovakia.
No, I can't remember the name of it.
It was whatever the Accords were.
I was just pulling some shit out of my ass.
Yeah, it was whatever the Accords were later on that I can't remember. The country next to it could have been wherever the fuck Doctor Doom is from.
Lavaria.
Lavaria, yeah.
Latveria or
yeah, Locksville, whatever the fuck.
Right.
It doesn't really matter.
Right.
Wherever Doctor Doom is from, because he's the king, and he's a super smart scientist.
Also,
and
his people love him. They do not view him as a villain.
No, he is literally the savior of this entire place. Shelbyville. It's basically
It was Shelbyville. That was the place. It was the Shelbyville Accords in Age of Ultron.
Yes,
that's what
of
it
course.
was.
So he's, let's say, because we never saw a map, he's right next door, and he has basically this utopian society that isn't Wakanda. It's the most utopian place outside of Wakanda that the world has is Doctor Doom, which again, a bit on the nose, place. And he's like, oh shit, my neighbors have gotten, the city fucking fell from the sky. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to help them and I'm going to fix this place up and we're going to give them technology and I'm going to take all these Ultron robots and do things with them.
Make them Doombots?
Maybe.
Right.
And we don't really necessarily need an origin story for the Fantastic Four, but I'm kind of putting them in a placement for the existing world.
Okay.
So with this, we will learn that Doctor Doom and his country exist, and they had to deal with this already existing issue, and maybe we kind of do an origin. I just don't see a point in putting them in space to give them radiation. I can't.
So
realize,
weirdly, your idea and mine could theoretically coexist in the same place, because what I put down in my notes is that I didn't want to have the big guys named at the very beginning of the Fantastic Four. I don't want Doctor Doom named. I don't want Galactus named. What I personally want is for the Fantastic Four movie to feel like a Marvel Phase 1 movie where people are learning about this new huge universe that as of right now, only superhumans and gods can explore. Make it human, make it about family. So my proposal to introduce the Fantastic Four is to go back in time.
You wrote down shit. I didn't write down shit.
I know.
Off the cuff.
My proposal is to go back in time to the first Avengers movie with the wormhole opening.
Okay, so this is the aliens invasion of New York,
right?
Which spawned everything else, and Iron Man freaking out,
right? So you take scientist Franklin Richards, his maybe girlfriend at the time, Sue Storm.
Okay.
The wormhole opens. The world has changed on that day, right? They bring that up.
Humanity
constantly.
learned it was not alone.
Right. Life had changed. So just like what happened to Spider-Man, what happened to everybody else, that day changed everything. And Franklin Richards, who just went to saying we should look at the stars for new things, said there is something out there and we should get to it. Which is why he then assembles, gets Sue Storm's brother on board, why he gets Ben Grimm on board and says, hey, we do need to check out what's out there. Now, what affects them while they're out in space to give them powers, let's leave that up to chance. There are people that are smarter than me will come up with that.
I kind of have an idea for that.
Okay.
So we're both kind of going with we have to go slightly back in time.
Yes.
Yours was one Avengers further.
Right.
I kind of like the idea of, so let's say Avengers 1 did make them go, oh shit, we need to do something. And then with Doctor Doom and having a city land right next to where he lives and be like, oh fuck, I need to fix this too. And maybe they work together with, some Doombots or whatever and open up a portal because they're trying to figure out how to harness these powers. And oh shit, now everybody has powers. And now you're on fire and she's invisible and this dude stretches real fucking far. And you kind of have to do an origin story because at this point, there's like at least 5 people that have to get powers.
I know. I just
it's the 2 existing movies that we've had so far can't be the way that it happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, but I get not doing Batman. I get not doing Spider-Man, but like...
But do we have to introduce Doom this early? Do we have to introduce Galactus this early? I feel like the other movies jump to that. The MCU has
okay, well, I'm gonna revise mine then.
Okay.
We are going to introduce Doom that early, but he's going to be the anti-hero. It's going to be primarily focusing around Doom and the fact that Fantastic Four went to stop him, and we learn about their story whenever they're trying to stop a dude who's just trying to make the world better. Let's play with that idea. Let's flip it. Let's not do this giant battle sequence where the good guys have to take over the bad guys because he has a glove. Like, let's not do that because we've done that. What kind of genre film could we put into this?
I just feel like there's a way for us to dial the Fantastic Four story back in such a way that we don't have to jump to the major villains right away.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Doom is...
He's a big deal.
He's the big deal. He's the go-to villain. He's more of a world-impacting villain. He's someone that you plan a phase around, honestly.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the problems. That's kind of the reason why I want to see him as more of the hero, because I want to have that juxtaposition of the people who love him understand that, like, he's just trying to help us. He's just not the most pleasant person, not in the most pleasant way.
Right.
And I think that we kind of need to see that. We need to have a Joker that in the most recent Joker film for the Marvel universe. We need to have something that can take the existing comic book universe and spin it on its head, make a genre piece out of it to, like, I basically want to have the Clockwork Orange for Doctor Doom.
Right.
Where, yeah, you hate him, but you understand him 100% by the end of that movie.
Right. So yeah, I think the Fantastic Four, like we've been saying, it just feels like the easier property. As we sit here and discuss it, and we debate it, there's a lot of things that they could do. I'm not saying that it's not easy to make a Fantastic Four movie if like a million different Fantastic Four movies have taught us anything. It is very difficult to make.
We've had 3 in the past, 20 years. Fuck, that has been 20 years. And like, I mean, it could do it as easily as the first invasion of New York. An alien carcass fell, and its goo got on these 4 people, and now they have magical powers and turtle shells. Right. Because that's the same plot.
I was trying to go big brain here and was thinking like, they go into space to explore the cosmos just like they do in the comics, but they get too near maybe one of the planets where the reality stone is activated during one of the other fights somewhere. Yeah, and instead of being gamma radiation, they get hit by the reality stone and it fundamentally alters them in some way.
I would like that, but then you have to figure out in the timeline where the reality stone was and what planet that was, and then there are
people that make way more money than us that will figure this out.
I mean, I know they pay me. I'll figure this out. Like, there's a reason why I'm bringing it up. Like, I'll do that.
You want that to be your job. But yeah, I think that the one thing that they need to be very careful about with Fantastic Four, just in my personal opinion, is Doom and Galactus specifically. These are things that are big deals, and we need to not just be like throwing them at the screen like they're nothing.
Galactus is much like Thanos, a culmination bad guy.
Right.
Doctor Doom is a Avengers movie bad guy. He's Avengers 1, Avengers 2, and then you get into Galactus territory at the end of that, which is why I'm like starting off with a Doctor Doom story. I also think it's you're going to get the same answer from me when it comes to the X-Men. It's way more interesting to tell villain stories than it is the hero stories.
It's understandable. I mean, there's a reason why everybody liked Infinity War so much. It was about Thanos.
Yeah, it was, and that's one of the reasons why, yes, I loved watching Endgame.
Yeah.
But at the end of that, I did not feel for, like, it changed my opinion of Thanos because when the moment he's like, oh, they got the stones, I'm going to be a whiny bitch about it and go change things. Instead of him going like, okay, cool, that's the way it was supposed to go. And versus the other one who'd been like, oh, that's the way it's supposed to go. Oh, well.
It felt like 2 different people.
Yeah, it felt like 2 different characters, and I didn't like that. I mean, because the first Thanos he was our first Clockwork Orange. He was an anti-hero that it's the moment he's like, all of these worlds are fucked. All of reality is fucked unless we fix it.
Right.
And his answer was to fix it.
Yeah.
He did it a bit abruptly.
So let's get into the complicated issue here, which is the X-Men.
Yeah, so Fantastic Four can kind of be thrown in anywhere, and it's pretty easy to just make an origin movie,
Right.
or stick them in with Spider-Man. I mean, think about it. He meets Reed Richards and Sue Storm at a science fair whenever he's on one of his stupid fucking adventures, and then here comes
And Spider-Man has been a member of the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, he has been.
The Future Foundation.
Yeah, well, he had a paper bag over his head.
Well, in one version, he had the white costume in the Future Foundation version when he was the fourth member.
I get that, but I just want to have Spider-Man.
You just want the bag on the head
I want
Spider-Man.
the bag on the head Spider-Man. All right, so X-Men. This is where we have to start with, all right, Deadpool is the easiest way for them to go into it.
True.
/ the hardest.
Yeah.
Because the Deadpool film franchise will have a third movie that will be part of that. Whenever you talk about third wall breaking characters, Deadpool's
Fourth wall breaking characters.
Yes, fourth wall breaking. Sorry, third walls. That doesn't even make any sense. Third wall's literally the wall.
It is.
Fourth wall breaking characters like Deadpool, who has already recognized the fact there are 2 different X-Men franchises, that the Marvel movies exist, and these things have happened.
So when we talk about Deadpool...
How do you add that character into the existing Marvel universe and then add more mutants on top of it?
So when we talk about Deadpool specifically, now I want to talk about the X-Men because we'll get to that in a second, but when we talk about Deadpool specifically, I think about the words that popped into my head as going over this was the comic book Deadpool Destroys the MCU. Or, the Marvel comics.
Yeah,
Or
destroys the Marvel universe.
The Marvel universe is what it's called.
Just remove cinematic.
Yeah. I was thinking about that more and more and more and more, and that phrase kept winding and rewinding in my head, and I went, what if there was a movie that was literally just called Deadpool Destroys the FCU?
Yeah, he just gets rid of all the Fox movies.
And he literally just kills them. Literally kills them.
Oh, you're going on the nose.
And then goes and finds a portal or something, and that's how
Hugh Jackman shows up just for Deadpool to rip his head off.
Right. And then
no more Logan.
Right. No more Logan. And also I'm going to peace out to this other dimension.
See, that's the dimension thing was the way I felt that because Deadpool 3 will exist and it will be referencing the existing X-Men movies.
Right.
That the end of it is him finally. All right. So this is my thing where Deadpool's still obsessed with death.
Okay.
And he finally is like, okay, I get to be with her. I get to be with his girlfriend in the movies, which is the replacement for Death. I finally get to be with her. I'm going to meet her because of cosmic whatever fucking reason. And he goes through, and then it's the Battle of New York.
Oh.
It's just Deadpool showing up, and there's fucking the Hulk jumping from building to building, Thor's flying across the way, and it's Deadpool going, what the fuck? And that's where it ends.
What if the entire movie was him being basically, if we want to take the death part out of the equation, because that really hasn't been introduced as a character concept. Take the death part of the equation.
It's the girlfriend.
It's that he has become so fed up with his own immortality that he needs to find a way to just end everything. And he figures, if there's no world, there's no me. And he goes through everything. He freaking literally destroys the entire universe, and that's where the movie ends.
Okay, what if
after credits scene, he wakes up and he's in the MCU.
What if he convinces Reed Richards and Sue Storm and all of them to do this, and then he brings all of them into the new universe? I'm just saying. It's an idea.
This was a Theory Craft episode, by the way. We knew this was going to get really silly
and weird, but it has to be thought provoking at the same time. Yeah. What if, in the next movie, they just fuck it, we own those 2, throw in the Fantastic Four, and that's how we just throw all of them in here, and now mutants exist. All right. So now we've got. Let's bypass the Deadpool of it all.
That one has a.
There's always a joke answer to figuring it out.
Right.
And I personally like my idea that he goes through a portal because he's finally wants to be with his girlfriend and ends up in the wrong place again because he's Deadpool, and that's how it works. And then he can make references to these other things that people are just like, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
And he can just be confused because he's Deadpool.
Right.
And it'll be fun because in the next movie he gets to join up with everybody and be like, aren't you? And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
It'll be fun. X-Men, though, I want them to do a few more standalones before they get introduced. Weirdly, I want to have Magneto Testament before they join because I can't tell that story in the current Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is one of the stories that I think would be the first true Oscar-winning movie for Marvel or for like comic book movies.
Right. And again,
all right, minus Joker's about to win a shitload of them.
Right. And in the Magneto Testament, if you've never read it, is the story of Magneto in Auschwitz. It is not a mutant story. Magneto does not have powers. It is literally the story of Erich Lencher and his experiences being inside of Auschwitz.
Not a good time.
And it was not a pleasant experience, by the way, just so you know. And it is a very powerful story.
Imagine that.
It is a very powerful story that maybe now in our current political situation.
Maybe we talk about that kind of stuff. Maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why Jojo Rabbit, I think, was which is also up for best film. You know? I'm just saying, I was kind of right. I'm like, it's really one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah.
I think that we need to tell those types of stories. We need to remind people that, yeah, this shit happened, and in the last still 100 years.
Yeah.
Like, this shit happened, and these people are still alive. We don't want to do this again, but we're doing this again.
Yeah.
And I think we should tell that type of story. Honestly, maybe we take the Magneto Testament, pretty much the entire story of it, and we change it to a young Mexican girl trying to come to America who has mutant powers. Maybe let's tell that, I mean, which we kind of did with Logan, but let's tell that, it has to be that kind of emotionally impactful. I basically want this to win a fucking award.
Right.
As for bringing in, that's where I want the current one to end. As for bringing people in, I really haven't thought about it.
Okay.
let's. You have some ideas because I've got how to end it, but not how to go forward.
I think for me, my obvious go-to answer was how do you bring the mutants into the MCU is simple yet complicated. The simple answer being they've always been there. So, of course, as all of us nerds go, the moment we hear they've always been there, our first question is, why didn't anybody fucking know? I mean,
that was the answer I didn't want to say for the Fantastic Four. Like, oh, they were already in New York, which is what we had to do for Doctor Strange. They had to explain in Endgame. They're like, why the fuck weren't these wizards fucking helping?
Right.
Like, well, they were.
Yeah. But that's the question, right? That's the go-to nerd question. Like, well, why didn't we know? And my answer is a bit dark on this one, honestly. And I think it's because the governments had already been hunting them down.
Like Sentinels already existed because...
I don't think Sentinels had already existed.
I can't say Sentinels because Ultron didn't work and you can't have Sentinels that are better.
I don't think Sentinels. I think that it's something that this could potentially be one of the darkest movies because it could say that like the one thing that like governments around the world have agreed on quietly is that whatever these creatures are, they can't exist.
See, I love that idea. The part of me that doesn't is how do you justify that? And then you're like, oh, well, they did like a blood test on all the kids when they went to school, and then they found out who they were, and then they killed them. And then you get to anti-vaxxers and that whole thing, and it just feels like it's not going to go on the side of the correct side of history. It's going to justify people saying like, this is why our kids should be left alone, and we should pray away illnesses. And it feels like it could go that path.
It has the potential, right?
Yeah, and that's the way I look at that, and I have to look at it as the way I want the world to be, and I don't want the world to be that way.
Right.
And I could see people latching on to that kind of story.
Yep.
Which is why I said I wanted Magneto. I want people to understand this is the way that we shouldn't be.
Right.
And it works. It does, though. It works. It's a good answer of that they've already been here, that this has happened the entire time, that there's actually only like 200 mutants in the world anyway. Which is kind of my answer is there's only 200 mutants and they've been here and no one knows because no one gives a shit.
Right.
Like there isn't somebody who has the power to blow up the earth. There's been like a dude who levitates shit sometimes. Like,
and now in the modern era of where superheroes just exist, they don't know the word mutant. They just know that's the dude with powers.
Yeah. It's the same thing as Scarlet Witch. It's like, oh, you levitate things. And you're like, yeah. That's what we do. And then maybe by the end of the movie, we find out there is a genetic reason why they do this. Kind of weirdly, I want an origin movie for the X-Men. Right. Because I want Professor X to finally realize, like, oh shit, this isn't just me. Right. This is a in me thing. This is more than just, me having these weird psychic visions or hearing voices. Yeah. Which alone would destroy the mind of a fucking teenager. Right. I mean, Buffy tried to do an episode about that, but then the Columbine murders happened and it got delayed, and it's one of those episodes of Buffy people don't really remember, where she got the power to read people's minds, and someone was trying to kill people.
Yeah.
And it was her trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. If you were 16 and you heard everybody's voice inside their head around you, like people are like, oh, that's what happened to Jean Grey. I'm like, no, that's what happened to fucking Jean-Luc Picard.
And to be fair, that's probably explains why Charles Xavier is such a goddamn horrible human being.
I mean, yeah.
He is like the worst.
See, that's the origin that I want. I don't necessarily want that. I kind of want that mutants have always been here, but I want a even younger version of Charles. I want Charles to be on the first X-Men team. I want him to be there at the same age as Jean Grey. I want him to be there being the same.
I would like him to be the same age as Jean Grey too, because any other time they're written, it's a lot creepier.
Yeah, he's only like 45 and she's like
16.
16.
So,
which is okay to some people, but they're in jail, hopefully.
Yes.
Or they should be at least. Yeah. Like, I get it, but like, no.
That's one of those cultural things, though, that it was written that way in the comics back in like the 70s and nobody really thought about it. And now that we're older and wise, we're like, that was
Speaking of,
really
I
creepy,
cannot
dude.
wait for you people to finally get the second season of The Boys. Because that's going to be fun for anybody who likes Batman. I'm just throwing that out there. They touched on it a little bit, which also sounds gross when you think about what we're talking about.
But yeah, the X-Men is just such a complicated property. And this is one of those situations that I did want to do this kind of theory craft episode about it, because it's fun to just toss out ideas, but
see what sticks. Maybe something could come out of this that would be good. Yeah. Like we've had some, like the Fantastic Four, there's a lot of good answers for that. With the X-Men, it's all over the place because time travel is a thing now, even in the MCU, which a little bit butthurt about that. They could easily go like, well, you traveled through time and you fucked up this one thing, and now the X-Men exist.
Right.
And I don't want them to do that, because you're like, oh, let's just have Kitty Pryde go fix it. And like, no, stop doing time travel.
Yeah. So I have a few questions for us to kind of guide us as we start to wrap up the show.
To try to make a logical answer.
To try and make a logical answer out of any of the things that we've been talking about here.
It's not going to happen.
How do you think the characters of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are going to affect the MCU going forward?
Seeing as how what I believe is going to be happening with the Avengers turning into the Young Avengers, and it's going to primarily focus around the TV show version of the teenager versions, and we're getting rid of a lot of the adult heroes. We need to have the adult hero equivalent for the films, and some of those characters have already been used for the Netflix stuff, which Marvel can use later this year,
right?
Because of the way the contracts work.
Yep.
I think, but those are local heroes. That was the entire point of the reason why Netflix chose them, and Marvel allowed that was because they're like, nobody cares about these guys.
Yeah, nobody cares who the fuck the Defenders are.
It's like, who the fuck is Luke Cage? He's the guy with chains and a stupid yellow shirt. Yeah, have fun with that guy.
Right.
Which they did, and it was awesome.
And then you found the perfect Jessica Jones.
Yeah, the casting of everybody.
Seriously, everybody.
Every single one of those shows was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And everybody got butthurt about fucking... was it Danny?
Yeah, Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. You're like, he's not Asian. Like, he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be a white dude who went to the wrong fucking place, and now it's all weird and culturally inappropriate.
Yes.
It's the entire point of this.
Right.
Did you not read the comic books?
Right.
All right. So those aside, I think that we need to add in the adult versions of them, and Fantastic Four is the easiest one to throw in and make those the primary focus for a phase.
Right.
Make the Fantastic Four the primary focus.
And not to go back to this dead horse, but Spider-Man did join the Fantastic Four at some point.
I mean, as long as I get Spider-Man with a bag on his head. I've already had Night Monkey.
That's true.
So I think we can put Spider-Man with a bag on his head. It's just going to work. Like, it's going to be fun. X-Men, it is harder because I personally want them to tell the personal stories. And maybe we don't add them to the MCU. Maybe we can have something that is separate, that is comic book related, that Disney can release, that is to tell adult stories. Maybe Deadpool being rated R and Logan being rated R is the note, just make the X-Men rated R. Make the mutants, this is for adults. Because some of the X-Men stories, they're stupid and grandiose and over the top, but the ones that are good are personal stories that
They tackle heavy issues.
yeah, tackle heavy issues. We just talked about that earlier with God Loves, Man Kills.
Yep.
That we can tell those types of stories. Maybe the mutants just stay the mutants.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a kind of a cop-out answer that they're not added into the MCU, but maybe it's better for them that they're not. Because think about trying to cram in, well, why wasn't Wolverine doing all these things? Because he's been alive since the 1800s. He should have been able to go schnickety-schnick. And no, dude, just fuck off.
Do you think that these two brands can keep the MCU going strong? Because we talked in the past about how the MCU, we loved the first 22 movies, but can they keep the momentum going? Do we think the Fantastic Four and the X-Men specifically can really keep the MCU going?
It has to evolve. And whenever earlier I talked about what kind of period piece I wanted with the X-Men and even with the Fantastic Four, because that's the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe works. They tell, or not period pieces, sorry, that was incorrect. They tell genre films. They tell genre stories. And at this point, what genres can we go into to tell these types of stories? Can we do we've already done kind of a Western thing with Logan. Can they repeat that with a modern Western again? I don't think so.
Right.
Which is kind of the go-to story for a dude who's a loner. I mean, look at The Mandalorian. That's a fucking spaghetti Western.
But I mean, does the X-Men even need Wolverine right away?
Honestly,
he's not a starting member of the roster.
All right, so this is going to be my other question. Who do we have in the X-Men?
That's the truth, though. You are bringing the truth here,
because our go-to answer is obviously like, well, you gotta have Jean Grey, and you have to have Scott Summers, and you have to have Wolverine, and probably Nightcrawler, and then Storm has to show up. But then how is Storm going to work with Black Panther and their love triangle, and how is that story going to work?
I'm looking forward to that love triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the movie we're all waiting for.
Can we just make the adult version of these? So how do we tell those types of stories? And these are questions that, weirdly, as I do want a job to tell these types of stories for the film, be like, hey, I'm the person that tells you what to write. I go, fuck, I really don't know for some of these. And X-Men is one of the ones, like, I really don't know, because it's so easy to say, oh, they exist, but they exist on this smaller scale, which I think is the easy one, but it's kind of a cop-out.
Right.
It's kind of a cop-out saying, like, oh, well, they are off doing their own thing because they're not important enough.
Right.
And it kind of comes down to what is an important story to tell, because we're now going to have the Young Avengers. I mean, that's not a spoiler. We haven't talked about on the show yet, but they're casting for that and getting ready to have that as TV shows and films.
Right.
We're going to have the what's her name as probably Iron Man. We're going to change the characters up. We're going to Hulkling is literally being cast so it can be in the series on Disney Plus right now. Like, they've just announced, like, they didn't announce, but like, we're pretty sure between 3 people who Hulkling is going to be.
Right.
We haven't had fucking.
We haven't even had a Hulk movie.
We haven't had a Hulk. Let alone,
but Hulkling is getting a fucking movie.
Hulkling is going to be part of the Young Avengers,
right.
And they're trying to introduce him in Lady Hulk, She-Hulk. Yeah, sorry,
you were having trouble braining.
There's a lot of trying to remember. Like, would you say Miss, or is it? I can't remember which all the names are, because
you're thinking about Miss Marvel.
I was thinking about Miss Marvel, but then you can't say Batgirl because there's Batwoman, and Batwoman's the TV show, and then which one's the lawyer that's green, because that's a different thing. And I get confused because I hate the fact it's just add girl in front of things, or at the end, or add lady. You're like, no, fuck off, give them names, then I will remember, because at this point I can't remember what identifier did you put before or after a name? Because Hulkling, oh, it's the Hulk, but he's Ling. I don't know, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I just thought that was Ann Ling's Hulk.
That would. Okay, cool. but yeah, like, we got these characters that are coming up. We see that they're trying to brand out the audience. They're trying to bring younger kids into the Avengers because they got to get them hooked now. Because we have these literally people our age are making new babies, and they have to have a TV show that they can, or movies that they can put those people into and have them grow up with. And then how do they add in existing characters to this? It gets really muddy very quickly. Yeah. And I mean, look at the history of DC.
So you honestly think that the two brands of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four,
ideally, I would still like them to stay separate.
Well, right, but do you think they can keep the MCU going if done correctly?
Yes. And it's not going to be answered in us talking in a half an hour.
Yeah.
It's something that needs to be sat down and thought about for many hours and with a timeline
And a lot of money.
If you pay me, I'll do it.
Right.
But you're not paying me, so I can only just spitball.
Okay, quick fire fun questions then.
All right.
Obviously, who do you want to see? When it comes to the Fantastic Four, when it comes to the X-Men, name some characters you just can't wait to see on the
Doctor
screen.
Doom. Weirdly, for the
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, I think Doctor Doom is the most important character because Reed Richards is a fucking pile of shit. Sue Storm.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely is.
Sue Storm is awesome, but she's way too sexualized.
She's one of the people that actually could get one of her own genre films because
Yeah, no,
she was in S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while.
Yeah.
Like, as like a spy or some shit. Like, she's
I
done
mean,
some...
she could go invisible, so she's like literally the fucking perfect spy.
Yeah, she actually like did a lot of infiltration and stuff.
Again, I hate Reed Richards. I kind of want like a Ben Grimm origin story, like Ben Grimm. Yeah, the Thing right there. He's hanging out with us. If you're watching us live on twitch.tv/nerd, we have many things on our table. When we say the joke, I'm not going to. I can't explain it because then I ruin it.
You can't explain
Can't explain the thing. I would like to have maybe a Ben Grimm origin TV show where it's just Ben Grimm, where he gets to meet Reed Richards and realize he's kind of a douchebag, but he's going to be his best friend. And he gets to meet Sue Storm and her little brother, who's kind of an asshole.
Right.
We get to have them growing up together. Honestly, a TV show version of all of them, putting them on Disney Plus, is kind of my answer. Have them not have powers.
Okay, but X-Men wise, who are you excited to see on screen?
Aside from Deadpool fucks the entire MCU.
Right. Well, you've already said Deadpool. We know we're going to see on the screen.
Yeah, I'm just excited for that.
The potential millions of X-Men out there? Who would you pick? Just,
There's the green one that looks like Slimer. I think he's never going to be in the movies, but I want him. Gloop or whatever his name is.
yeah, Gloop.
I think it's Gloop. Yeah. he's weird and fun and interesting.
Yeah.
But they're never going to add him ever, which is sad.
They should put him in the Deadpool movie.
I would like to see if we could add more Colossus because I just like Colossus.
Right,
His
right.
sister's going to be in the New Mutants movie.
Yeah, she is so
And-
perfectly cast. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, like everything about that character that I know of, I'm like, cool. And everything we've had from Cyclops and Deadpool, I'm like, okay, let's just keep them alive because they're awesome. I like them. I don't necessarily want Kitty Pryde, even though I know if I want Colossus, I have to have Kitty Pryde in there because of that.
If
fucking
you're
love
Joss
story.
Whedon. That's literally all Joss Whedon's fault. That is literally Joss
but
Whedon's fan fiction.
Unfortunately, he fucked that into existence.
I know, he
He
did.
crammed that down to where even now, like later on, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Banshee would be cool. Just in general, I would love Magneto and Professor X, but I want them to be younger.
Okay.
I really want to see X-Men.
You want to see First Class 2.0?
I want to see the younger years, I guess. I don't know. Like, yeah, I want the X-Men to be good. And that's the worst thing I can say is like, I don't know who I want. I just want it to be fucking good. I don't want Wolverine.
Right.
I know for a fact Logan ended Wolverine perfectly.
Right.
Like, could you think of a better ending to Wolverine's
not at all.
story?
That was beautiful.
Yeah, he
I teared
sacrificed
up.
himself. Like
I teared up. I was like, this is good.
I want to go watch it after this. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go watch Logan. It's been over like 2 years since I've watched it. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, I need to watch Logan again. Yeah, that's what I'm doing after the show.
Okay.
I can't think. I mean, Gloop because weird and
Right.
funny, and I like him. Colossus because he's funny and very analytical. I think that's great. I want it to be a younger film. I don't want them to immediately throw in Jean Grey because it's the power balance thing.
Right.
Because then you immediately like, oh, we've got to add walls to her head because she's going to break everything, and then it turns into the stupid X-Men movies we've already had. I mean, we don't want to go down that road. Just basically say never again to the Phoenix.
I'm really glad that you combined both my what are you excited to see and anything you don't want to see question in the same
Never the
thing.
Phoenix. All right, there we go.
I actually had two separate questions here, but you were just like, fuck it, we're doing it live.
Fuck
We're going to do all of it.
Because it's been done to death.
Right.
I mean, think about all the movies we've had. We've had Phoenix told twice in film and like 3 times in cartoon.
Yeah.
Let's just not that story anymore because no one told it well.
All right. I think for me, like when it comes to what do I want to see in the X-Men, or do I want to see for all of this? What do I want to see? I want a really good, solid.
Nightcrawler. I want Nightcrawler.
I want to see a really great Fantastic Four story that is about family and really focuses on that element of it, because I feel like the reason that Fantastic Four movies don't tend to succeed is that they have the family in there, but they think that's just what it is. Like, oh, they're related or just best friends. No, family is at the core of the Fantastic Four.
You just gave me a ridiculous ass idea.
Does this have to do with Fast and the Furious?
Yes.
Stat.
Because you said family, and I was like, wait a second. A meteor lands, and Disney bought the Fantastic Four license in this world. And a meteor lands, and it gives them powers, and Vin Diesel becomes weirdly the Thing. He's not going to be Reed Richards. That's somebody else, and we're gonna just gonna fucking like, why not make the Fast and the Furious also?
I really wish you guys could see the faces that I'm making right now.
So good. You hate this idea.
I hate this.
You shouldn't have said the word family.
I know.
If you say family,
the moment I said it,
immediately.
I knew this was over. All right. So what am I excited to see? I'm honestly excited for the X-Men in general. What would I like to see out of the X-Men? I definitely want to see some of my favorite characters pop up. Obviously Havoc. Honestly, when I talk about the X-Men, I think the one
really Havoc doesn't add a little bit of complications to the issue.
No, not really. They're just they're all mutants. But I think for me, the big thing is that I want to see, and I know that they probably won't do it, is I want to see more of the cosmic X-Men. X-Men focuses so much on being in New York, but so many great X-Men stories take place on the cosmic scale. The reason the Phoenix stories never work and all the iterations that they keep telling of them, with the exception of the animated series, is because the animated series embraced the cosmic storyline of it. All the ones they've been doing since then have all been like, it takes place on Earth, but then she blew something up in space, LOL. There is literal space politics that happens within the X-Men. Like the Shi'ar galaxy, the Brood, like all of these things, like Mojo's world, like all this stuff takes place off planet. But we're also busy being like, the X-Men takes place in this one little spot in New York. And it's like, no, the fuck it doesn't. Like they go to the Savage Land. Like there's these places that X-Men
Savage Land alone would be an amazing series just by itself. I have an idea for you though, because you said Havoc, and what if we have a TV show? So this is how we introduce the X-Men, but it's just the Summers family as kind of a sitcom of all the ridiculousness that the Summers family gets up to.
Their life is basically a sitcom.
Yeah, because I hate all of them.
Look, there's one good one, all right?
And I think that would be kind of like, it could be a fun way to do it, but we're already going to get that with WandaVision. So we're not going to make fun of the TGIF-esque 1950s TV show with the Summers, which, fuck, that's actually a good idea.
I know, I'm just playing it over and over. All right, you know what? These are all of our fun theories that we have. We want to know how you would bring either the Fantastic Four or the X-Men into the MCU.
Or both of them at the same time.
Same time.
Whatever you want, any of them.
Give us your ideas, Tony. Where can they do that?
Twitter's @TheSurlyNerd. You can do that there, tweeting. info@thesurlynerd.com is our email address. The surlynerd.com is our website. You guys a donate button up on there. Donate button on twitch.tv/surlynerd. Live Mondays, 7:30 Central-ish. 7:30-ish.
Ish.
Heavy on the ish. We're going to be doing some more live streaming stuff. I'm just needing to rearrange literally an entire room before we do that. And other than that, I can't remember anything.
All right. That's all that we have for the show this week. This is 342 in the books.
342 episodes, not counting the other random ass shit we've done, which is like 360 at this point.
Yeah. So until next week, for Tony, this is James.
For James, is Tony.
Adventures, good night.
And good game. I had to find the mouse. It was right there, and it was hard to see.
Thank you, everybody.
What the fuck are we doing episode 360?
I have no idea, but
because that's a circle.
We just talk about the history of the 360. FGP.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah. Like, the Xbox 360 for episode 360 is a pretty good idea. I'm going to go and end the show so they don't hear you peeing. So,
Influence of the Xbox 360.
Yeah, and how that's functioning within the Microsoft's plans for the future, and how it all started with, well, the thing called the Xbox, but how the 360 took on Sony and Nintendo and Sega and everybody else. It's cool. Good idea. All right, I'm going to sign us out. Thank you for liking and subscribing and all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and... Well, I'm trying to look at the screen and the camera, so it's like... I hate that. Whenever actors are like, I'm talking to you. I always hate that shit. I'm going to sign us out because I've had enough whiskey and I want to go watch Logan.